Hi, library workers. I'm Nicholas Pullen, and I'm the author of The Black Hunger. And if you're watching this, that means you're considering stocking it on your shelves, which I'm very, very grateful for. This is my library. This is my study, office, whatever you want to call it, which is where most of my work happens. And this is most of my books. Not all, but 2/3 maybe of my books in one room for the first time since I was a kid. So a little bit about me. I have a BA in history from Oxford University and an MA in history from McGill University. And The Black Hunger is my first novel. I wrote it while working for the Canadian government as a treaty negotiator. And I currently live in the Yukon with my partner and with my little dog, Rudolph. Hi, Rudolph. So, The Black Hunger is an epistolary, queer, gothic, historical horror triptych, which are fun words to be able to say in that order. The main story centers around Lord John Sackville and his valet Garrett Benson, who are living in India at the time of the British Raj in the Edwardian era. They're in a secret relationship and have been since their teens. They are outed and sent on a secret mission across the steppes of Tibet and Mongolia to stop an ancient cult of Buddhist heretics from completing an ancient ritual that will bring about true nirvana, or the end of all life on earth, because where there is no life, there can be no suffering. So, yeah, that's it in a nutshell. The horror draws heavily on some of the slightly more sinister elements of Buddhist theology, the early occult mysticism of the European proto-fascists, people like Baron Ungern von Sternberg, Theosophy, things like that. And it also draws pretty heavily on mental illness as a theme and as a source of some of its horror. As someone who struggles with bipolar disorder and who's been stably medicated for that for 10 years now, that meant quite a bit to me to include. It also draws a lot for its inspiration on some of the sort of high imperial adventure stories of people like Rudyard Kipling or George MacDonald Fraser. And it draws very heavily for inspiration on Susanna Clarke. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell is a book I've read at least a dozen times. But I wanted to subvert those tropes and queer them and decolonize them a little bit. It was fun for me to insert queer characters into that time period and have them represented positively, because obviously when I was reading those books as a kid, they were never represented positively. So it was fun and subversive to take those narratives and those adventurous themes and play with them a little bit and do something new with them. So if any of that interests you, I hope you find a use for it on your library shelves. I hope it gets borrowed and I hope people read it. I'm a huge believer in public libraries. I've written a lot of my work in them over the years, and they are completely vibrant and necessary and contemporary institutions that deserve our complete support. And it would be quite the thrill to see my book on the shelf of a public library anywhere in the world, let's put it that way. So I hope you're well, and I hope you like The Black Hunger.